lighting nothing new. Memorize specs in my head, same routine that pays the rent.
That's pretty cool. E-bikes, they're everywhere. There's also a lot of regulations and state laws that are coming down now. The world of e-bikes. This affects the consumers, it affects the reviewers like me, it affects the manufacturers, it affects everyone. Well, today we're going to take a ride through a new town I moved to, specifically to review e-bikes. Here in Gypsum, Colorado, we're going to ride from Gypsum, Colorado to Eagle. I want to talk about the e-bike laws and regulations, how they may affect you, but we're going to read between the lines and talk about probably the real actual outcome to these e-bike laws and regulations. We're going to talk about New Jersey, we're going to talk about California, Florida, and Iowa, and even right here in Colorado. What's happening, what you need to pay attention to, just so you have a better experience when you're riding your e-bike. Let's hop along the Jump or Go by King Bull dual suspension e-bike. And we're going to take a 10-mile ride to Eagle, Colorado. Let's go. Let's chat about laws and regulations on e-bikes. Let's get talking about the subject on hand here, and that's e-bike laws and regulations. Just here, there, everywhere. Now, as far as the United States goes, they still basically have an outlining law of class 1, 2, and 3 like they've had for years. And I don't know why people have thought that those rules and regulations didn't exist. Now, the difference was that they were never enforced. Now, with these new laws and regulations in these states that are coming up, they could write them all day long, but can they enforce these laws? And I'm going to guess probably not. I mean, there's enough going on in the world that I don't see how they're going to possibly sit around and enforce e-bike laws. Now, there's a lot of talk about should this be speed limit, da-da-da-da. I'm going to tell you exactly why these states haven't just implemented a speed limit no matter what kind of e-bike you're on. It's easy. There's no way that they could regulate the speed on e-bikes. They don't have the manpower, the resources to even consider doing that, to make that a law. Because to make a law, theoretically, supposedly, allegedly, it has to be enforced. So you can't just make a law and not enforce it, or make a law you can't enforce. But what you're having is you're going to have it enforced when you see like a bunch of kids probably either riding together on e-motos, like in a group, like 3, 4 or more, like a group, not a big group. Kids going fast on e-bikes or e-motos and hopping wheelies and weaving in and out of traffic. Those are going to be where you're going to see people getting pulled over. It's going to give them an excuse to pull you over anyways. A reason to. It's kind of like the seatbelt law. It gives them a reason if they want to. Even though most cops really don't give a crap if you're wearing your seatbelt or not when it comes down to it. Even if they pretend and act like it, they really don't give a flying crap. It's just a reason to pull you over. And I believe like the e-bike's going to be the same thing. If you're acting crazy, it's going to give them a reason to pull you over. It's going to give them a reason to write you a ticket and possibly give them a reason to impound the e-bike or e-moto that you're on. So, you know, the best policy is to play it safe, out of sight, out of mind. That's what I tell all the kids in the neighborhood on their e-motos, their Surons, Talarias, E-Ride Pros, whatever. You know, have fun, but out of sight, out of mind goes a long way. So play it safe, play it good, out of sight, out of mind. That's your best policy. Now, the reasons, man, I'm really going to get on this. And I can say this because my aunt is a lawyer, she's an attorney, and we talk about everything, and including the e-bike world, man. It's very important for me as a reviewer to stay safe and cover my ass as well. And I'll talk about that some as well too. But right now, the reasons for these laws and regulations, it's simple. No one is talking about this. Liability. if and when and how and eventually things happen, man. Accidents happen. Now, if little Johnny is 14 years old and he's on his brand new Talaria or Suron that goes 50 miles an hour or more, depending on if he's even upgraded it, probably go 80 miles an hour. If he runs into someone or someone runs into him, which we definitely pray and hope that never happens. And it may have, it probably has, eventually will maybe, but we just don't want that to happen. But if that does, it comes down to liability. And that's why these laws and regulations are being put in more than anything. It's for liability reasons. The registration and the insurance, that's where that comes into play. The registration is to identify the person in case there is an accident. That's the registration part. But what everything boils down to is control, money, and liability. If you wreck your e-bike, if someone hits you on your e-bike, it comes down to liability. I'm going to give you some examples. I already have gave you examples of a Suron, a 14-year-old, on his Suron, and whether somebody hits him or if he hits somebody. That's pretty cool, isn't it? If that happens, it comes down to a liability issue because that kid shouldn't have even been on the road or on a Suron or had a Suron even on the road. So that kid's going to be at fault, and if someone hits that kid and it kills that kid, then that person's not going to be at fault because that kid should not have even been on the road. That's where these laws and regulations are boiling down to. Now, that's going to be that's a big reason right there that this law is even a thing. Group rides, young kids on high-powered e-motos, even adults, high-powered e-motos in general, on the road, group rides, those kinds of things, man, people are just over that shit. I mean, I'm kind of over that shit because it's really hurt the opinion and views on e-bikes in general. You say e-bike, man, people straight up sometimes like, oh man, Suron, Talaria. Dude, that's an e-moto. To me, that's an e-motorcycle. I've got a power goat. I know. It's an e-moto, man. It's an e-moto. It's an e-moto. It just is. And then you got a lot that I consider in these class 3 and above, they're just e-mopeds, man. Now, we're going to talk about that now. Class 3 e-mopeds that aren't e-motos, like have pedals. When I say e-moped, I'm talking about high-powered that has pedals. In case you run out of juice, in case you run out of electricity, you need to, thank you, you need to have something to at least get you home, you know, even if it sucks. Now, some of these are so heavy, that's just not even a reality. They put pedals on these things just for aesthetics and to make them more, I guess, legal. And you can like ghost pedal. You can even disable the pedal assist where you're just ghost pedaling and it's not doing nothing. And that makes a big difference too. Weave through here. See, I'm weaving through that traffic back there, but I wasn't doing it at a high rate of speed. I was making eye contact with all the drivers. You know, it makes a big difference. E-biker up ahead, way up there. So, with the e-mopeds, the class 3 e-bikes, you know, the ones that are just more powerful, that, in my opinion, that go, you know, over like 35 miles an hour. I still think like class 2 should be like up to 35, but whatever. That's my opinion. Those aren't the facts. But let's just say whatever's over 30 miles an hour. So 30 and over, e-mopeds. That's that class, man. I don't care how fast they go to. If they go 70, whatever. If you sit down on it, it's got pedals, and it goes over 30 miles an hour, that is an e-moped in my opinion. You can call it e-bike all day long. It could look like an e-bike, which is the way to go. If I was a manufacturer, I'd make high-powered e-mopeds that looked like e-bikes. I would have like 60 volt, 52 volt type e-mopeds that looked like e-bikes. Like on an e-bike frame, for example, like Wired, like Magician, like Magic Cycle, like the new Ghost Cat that's coming out, the Saber S1, which I will be getting. There's no way I'm not getting that thing. A high performance one that don't have the big battery on the back to give you all that wobble. Sign me up, I'll take 2. But yeah, it's like that kind of category right there, in my opinion, needs to fall in the exact same lines as mopeds and scooters that are like under 50 cc's. Now, if you don't know those laws and regulations, you need to look them up in your particular state. Here in Colorado, you just have to have a driver's license. That's all you gotta have. And all you gotta do is register the dang thing, which is super simple, and insure it. That's all you gotta do here in Colorado. Super simple. Now, you can ride the doggone thing basically anywhere except the interstate and some parts of high-speed highways because of the speed of what a moped traditionally goes. And that should fall in line, in my opinion, with e-mopeds, high-powered e-bikes. That's just how I think that should fall in line, personally, my opinion. Now, the regulations and laws on that is going to be, you at least need to be a certain age. Let's say you at least need to be like, I don't know, driver's permit. You know, licensing, that's a little much. At least a permit, you know, or whatever. You could get like hardship license if you need mobility and things like that. That's why I'm saying that, because if you could get a permit, a lot of times you could get a hardship license. I did when I was young, just to get a job. So when I was 14 in Florida, I was able to get a hardship motorcycle permit way back in the day. It's like late 80s, early 90s, speaking my age here. I was able to get a hardship permit, and I was only able to ride to work and back daylight hours only. You know, and did I follow those? Probably, maybe not. Did I follow those laws and rules? Probably, maybe not. Now, I could have been held liable if I was riding at night and someone hit me even though it was their fault. They wouldn't have been at fault because I shouldn't have even been on the road. And that's where these e-bike laws and regulations are coming to. They're holding people liable in case there's an accident. Insurance is there. Look at that. That's pretty cool. So those are for liability reasons, man. The insurance, the registration, that's for liability reasons. Now, that's your class 3, your e-mopeds, your high-powered e-bikes that are really just e-mopeds. They go over, 30 miles an hour. That's basically what a moped or a scooter would do. Like the old Honda Esprits, remember those? Like 49 cc's or whatever. You just had to have a driver's license and put a little moped plate on it and get it registered, get insurance on it. And I don't even think back then you even had to have insurance on motorcycles. Now, just because they're small, and usually the accident is the person on the motorcycle getting hurt. But just with congestion, a lot of e-bikes on the road, I could see now why they would, have regulations on insurance and those kinds of things on them. Somebody dropped something back there. But yeah, I get it. Those are the reasons why. Just liability reasons, in case something happens. And if you don't have the money to pay for hurting someone, you have insurance that will at least hopefully cover their hospital bills and their time away from work or whatever. That's the insurance part. And people just aren't responsible nowadays. People suck nowadays. I'll be honest with you. I can see why they would make strict regulations, because people abuse and just absolutely take everything they can anytime they're given an inch. They take a mile for the most part. Not everybody, but mostly. For sure, mostly. I love the way this bike path goes down through here. You got Village Bagel, Got some coffee shop bagel action going on there. That's good. I'm glad I wore this jacket. It's a little chilly once you get going. And this is all new to me. This bike path is all new to me. AutoZone right there. I got an O'Reilly's closer to my house. But it's nice to have that there. All right, we'll cruise through here, hit this bump. Nice, I love that double suspension. You got dual suspension on this Jumper Go. This is a great bike. This is my commuter. I'm kind of seeing what I can get on range on this right now. And I'll tell you why here in a minute. So that's your moped area, and why they're making those regulations is really for that class 3, the bikes that do go over 28, 30 miles an hour or whatever. That's why these laws and regulations are here. It's liability reasons. I mean, 100%. The rest is just the excuses and other reasons they could throw in there to do it. And that's it, all of it, in a nutshell. Now, with class 1 and 2, I put those in the same category, okay? Kind of how I do high-powered e-bikes with the e-mopeds that go super fast. They're all e-mopeds to me if they go over 30. So the e-bikes that go 20, the e-bikes that go 28, class 1, class 2, those to me are just in their own little category. Those to me are assisted bicycles. Now, I have a motorcycle background, that's why I say it. I also have an acoustic bike pedaling background, so I could say it from that standpoint as well. How I categorize these bikes, in my opinion, I think are way more accurate than someone that doesn't know what the hell they are talking about. These people that are writing these rules, these laws, these regulations, state, county, town, city, don't know anything about them. It's a lot like the marijuana laws here in Colorado when people were writing them. The people that were writing the marijuana laws had no clue about how to grow marijuana. They had no clue about how to package it, how to dry it, how to sell it. They had no clue, but yet they were writing the laws and regulations. And that's exactly what we have right now in the e-bike world. Now, the latest news is, making up words. I'm enjoying this pedaling right now just because it's so nice out and it's good exercise day. So I'm assisting this bike today. All right, in the news, New Jersey's a big one. All right, Florida, we've been hearing about that. California, obviously. Maine, and even Iowa. Now, Iowa, a lot of you may not be very familiar with Iowa, but that is big time biking country. Reason for it is just a lot of flat land. You can get a single gear bike, road bike or gravel bike and just go for days. That's why that area is just so popular. It's a big biking area. So what happened, these laws and regulations that they were trying to pass, they got bucked back really quick and shit stopped. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Shit stopped. Like, that law just got stopped in its tracks. And will it still go through? It's possible. I mean, anything's possible. Those laws could still push through. But they were basically saying, insurance. They were basically saying, you can't ride them on roads over 25 miles an hour. And that's acoustic bikes too. Keep that in mind. Just crazy, crazy shit, man. Like, these people, they don't ride bikes that are making the laws. They don't even know the past laws, that bikes have been around so long, they've been grandfathered in to have the right of way just basically on any roadway except the interstate. And you could probably fight that in court and win if there wasn't access any other way besides the interstate. So there's that. Now, with these new laws and regulations, they're trying to basically eliminate you even riding your acoustic bike on certain paths, bike paths, or roads, and basically telling people on e-bikes, you can't ride them things anywhere. You just can't ride them, basically. You can't ride an e-bike. That includes e-mountain bikes. So the laws and regulations, the people riding them, they're just ignorant. And I don't mean that like in a sarcastic way. That's an honest way to say something, is the people riding them are just ignorant. Because they do not know what they're talking about. They know nothing about e-bikes. They've never probably even ridden one. They heard about an accident in Florida 4 years ago, an old lady, and that's their only impression of e-bikes. And then you got people that just hate them. Here, this looks pretty sketchy. So we're gonna take it easy through here. This looks dangerous. Dangerous. There's a little patch of ice there. I mean, it still gets cold here at night, like definitely down in the low teen single digits still at night. But yeah, so that's it. You know, class 1 and class 2 e-bikes are even on the agenda just to be basically just banned. In some states, like New Jersey, even those e-bikes registered, insured. You know, it's really hard to insure something that doesn't have a VIN number. That's the other part. Now, what they could use, you know, your receipt, your order number. They could actually use your order number. They could actually use your serial number. And the reason I say that is because I have talked to people that are actually considering writing up laws and rules to someday maybe put into policy. That's all I'm gonna say. It's local people here, but they've asked me questions just because they know what I do. And I like that at least they're asking me questions, because then I feel like they're not going into this being ignorant or blindfolded. And I'm gonna give them my honest opinion about what really should be going on. You know, because I don't think it should be the wild, wild west necessarily. So that's another topic. But with class 1 and 2, this is going to be really hard to register them, is what people are saying, because there's not a VIN number. Well, here in Colorado and other places, there's, for off-road vehicles, it's called OHV, off-highway vehicle. Now, the laws and regulations and the rules that they use for OHV here in Colorado is you don't have to have all those things. You don't have to have necessarily a VIN number to get an OHV sticker so you could ride your dirt bike off highway and on the trails and through the woods to grandma's house. So keep that in mind. You don't have to. They could go totally like they do with OHV, register it, and just have, okay, you're signing this saying this bike is yours or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then that's that. That's exactly how they could do that. So think of an OHV, a dirt bike license, or number, or whatever, is exactly how they can do that. Oh, you go right there. Looky there. Oh. I guess I could go right here. Well, I'm going to go right here, so there's that. All right. Whew. Beautiful day. And this is a great little bike path, by the way. I'm glad I've at least got a path to take it all the way to Eagle. We are in Eagle now. So we've made it from Gypsum to Eagle. We've done 9.7 miles in that chat I've been chatting about. So my thought with the class 1 and 2 definitely is this. You need to treat those like regular bicycles. And this is why they'll never be able to knock class 1 and 2 into a situation where you can't ride them. There's mobility laws. There is mobility laws for people that can't pedal, for people that can't. And the reason this will never work for them to ban it is because they've already allowed it and people have adjusted their lifestyles to it. And that could be somebody that's had, you know, too many traffic violations, whether it be DUI or speeding, and had their license revoked. This is their way of transportation. And people that have mobility issues, like physical issues, where they just can't go a long, long way, or can't pedal at all, for that matter. So in the class 1 and class 2, that's the reason that they'll never be able to put too much on it. Now, will they make you register it? Will they make you insure it? Now, this is where it's tricky, and this is what I think, what worst case scenario, what would happen. And I think they will be able to make you register it. They will be able to make you insure it. This is why and how. Just for legal reasons, for liability reasons, once again. And not really a money grab because they can't, but what they can do is, because it could be at such a low price to register your bike, let's say $8 a year to register your acoustic bike or your e-bike. And then they have like a blanket policy, it's like $12 a year, it covers all of your e-bikes or e-scooters. Kind of like a classic license plate for your classic cars. They could do that. Now, the cost of it, they could waive it if you fall under a certain category. There's a deer. This deer in the yard right there. It's pretty cool. But they could make it to where they could give that to you, the registration. You still have to register it. They're just going to waive the fee, but you'll still have to register your bike. So there's that. Now, another trick. Here's another trick. Ready for this? The insurance. Now, this is where I think they're going to be able to do the insurance. I think they're going to be able to make you have to have insurance, and they're going to be able to have some kind of program that helps people pay for it, because I think it's going to be really inexpensive. Like, I think the insurance is going to be, I don't know, man. It could be like $6 or $7 a month or something super, super inexpensive. Which way should I go? I'm gonna go up this way. So they can have programs and assists where you can basically not have to pay for your registration, not have to pay for your insurance. You know, they do that with vehicles, actually, believe it or not. So if you need assistance, you can't afford certain things, there's assistance programs out there for everything, like college, homes, groceries. I think e-bikes and mobility, they'll have to do that with some of the income that they make. They'll have to use some of that income that they're making off the people that pay for insurance and registration. They'll have to make it to the point where some of that money goes and funds the people that can't afford it. So I think that's what's going to happen there. I honestly do. I'm going to actually go right here. And then I'm going to go across here. Learning all these little routes, dude. It's so cool. There's Eagle River. There it is. So we've made it to Eagle. We still got all of our battery bars. We've went 10.26 miles. Not too shabby. All right. Let's head on over the bridge. It is gorgeous out today. It's a perfect day to kind of explore and see where I can and can't go on this doggone thing, honestly. Because I still don't really know the bike path areas, even though I've driven through here a bunch of times. I haven't biked or e-biked through here, but maybe once on a pedal bike, on an acoustic bike. So a big difference. And I'm definitely going this way. All right, nice. We made it to an area where I feel like at this point I could get actually on the road. Not too shabby. Enjoying this. Enjoying this. We'll turn on the headlights since we're actually out in the road. Very, very cool. So class 1 and 2, I just think that they need to be treated like regular bikes, and if they do get to the point where they're saying you got to get them registered, you got to get them insured, you know, they're going to have to make it super cheap on class 1 or 2. They're going to have to also have assistance for the people that can't afford it. That's what I think is going to happen. I really truly do that eventually that's all going to come to fruition and be a thing. So we need to pay attention. We need to really, really pay attention to these things. I think it's super important. All right. Whew. Not too shabby. I'll pull over here out of the way before I go get what I need to get across the street here. That there, to me, is definitely a Class 2 e-bike. The reason I say that is because throttle, I can't get it over 20. If I pedal assist, I can get it a little bit over 20, but definitely 28 is a bit of a struggle. So to me, this bike at full mode is a Class 2 e-bike. So that's basically what I think about the Jumper Go. What do you think? What's going on in your state? Here in Colorado, they're just leaving it Class 1, Class 2, Class 3. Follow along, don't break the rules. You know, don't make a scene, you won't get pulled over. It's gonna be the same in every state, USA. Getting it registered, getting it insured, that's gonna be for liability reasons. So if something does happen, or if you get pulled over for acting a fool, they could prosecute you, they could charge you, they could write tickets, they could do all those things. That's the reason for those things, just like a vehicle. So keep that in mind. Wherever you are is going to depend on what rules and regulations are going to fall in place and how they're enforced as well. Because if a cop doesn't have a lot to do, he can pull you over. If a cop has a lot to do, a lot of action, probably won't pull you over even if you're popping a wheelie beside him. Just depends on where you live. So pay attention. The more you know. Leave a comment below. Tell me what you think. This is Chris from Electric Adventure Channel talking about the rules and regulations and the silly laws that they're putting on e-bikes. Till the next adventure. Good day, everybody.